That's the end of 2019.
Mercifully.
I am not sure what 20 year we're in. Could be 2019, could be 2020, could be 2018. Sometimes I think I'm still in 2016.
I can't distinguish between years. They're all the same.
But from the release of the Mueller report to an impeachment hearing, a lot happened in 2019.
It was busy.
It was just a relentless chasing of Donald Trump's false and misleading statements.
And by the end of it, they were
Exhausted.
but they're seasoned professionals.
I've been doing this for 9 years now.
Some false claims were more memorable than others.
I've taken better care of Puerto Rico than any man ever.
So we asked the fact checkers to rewatch 2019's biggest Pinocchios and tell us what these offenders got wrong.
Do you want me to stop every time he says something wrong, or just when he says the claim that made the Pinocchios of the year list?
The claim.
Okay. Okay.
While others made this year's list, here's 5 of the biggest Pinocchios of 2019.
On the USMCA, the new trade deal we have with Mexico and Canada, what we save on that just with Mexico will pay for the wall many times over just in a period of a year, 2 years, and 3 years. So I view that as absolutely Mexico is paying for the wall.
Okay, so Mexico not paying for the wall.
Here he kind of has convinced himself that the trade deal will pay for the wall, the $25 billion wall, but it's not the case. And in fact, after we did our fact check, he more or less dropped this claim. So maybe he even thought it was pretty ridiculous.
I was the first person who ran for president without the protection of the Voting Rights Act, and I will tell you it makes a really big difference. And it doesn't just make a difference in Alabama and Georgia. It made a difference in Wisconsin, where the best studies that have been done said somewhere between 40 and 80,000 people were turned away from the polls.
This is an effort by Hillary to mischaracterize, I think, some of the reasons behind her loss.
Yeah, well, here Hillary Clinton gets lots of things wrong about voting rights issues. She claimed that the Supreme Court's changes having to do with the Voting Rights Act made a difference in Wisconsin. That's completely false. The changes only affected southern states.
This is a very dangerous time for women's health in our country. Before Roe versus Wade, thousands of people died every year because they didn't have access to safe legal abortion.
We looked into this, and she was completely wrong. The year before Roe v. Wade, it was, the statistics from the Centers for Disease Control was under 50. And the thousands, you only get to that if you go way back into the 1930s, before the advent of antibiotics. This is part of his obsession with the Squad, these 4 women, mostly women of color, who are, kind of young, left-leaning new members of Congress.
All they do is complain. So all I'm saying is, if they want to leave, they can leave, John. They can leave.
They're all American citizens.
I mean, I look at Omar, I don't know, I never met her. I hear the way she talks about Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda has killed many Americans. She said, you can hold your chest out. When I think of America, when I think of Al-Qaeda, I can hold my chest out.
This is just a complete falsehood, invention that he made up about some statements he had made long ago. And I see the other one, this is part of a combined claim that we did on his comments on Omar, because then he did this here, I remember.
Omar has a history of launching vicious anti-Semitic screeds.
The president, when he's asked about this rally and this chant, he told reporters falsely that he had intervened to try to stop the chants.
Well, number one, I think I did. I started speaking very quickly. It really was a loud, I disagree with it, by the way.
And we quickly did another For Pinocchio fact check because the video was right there. We could all see it, and he did nothing of the kind.
Well, the whistleblower was very inaccurate. The whistleblower started this whole thing by writing a report on the conversation I had with the president of Ukraine. And the conversation was perfect.
Right. He says the whistleblower is very inaccurate. And he has said this, I believe in our database it's going to exceed 50 times already, just in the last few months.
Based on what we've learned through congressional hearings and testimony, is that in fact most of what was outlined in the whistleblower's claim has been confirmed one way or another.
To me, this is the most significant claim of the year.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting. They have the server, right, from the DNC, Democratic National Committee.
Who has the server?
Now, the FBI went in and they told him, get out of here. You're not getting it. We're not giving it to you. They gave the server to CrowdStrike or whatever it's called, which is a company owned by a very wealthy Ukrainian. And I still want to see that server. You know, the FBI has never gotten that server. That's a big part of this whole thing. Why did they give it to a Ukrainian company?
Are you sure they did that?
Fox and Friends, like his biggest supporters, they've, you know, Steve Doocy even asked, are you sure they have it?
Point blank, because we're looking for corruption.
Okay, well, I'm going to start out by saying that the Defense Department had already certified that Ukraine had met the anti-corruption standards required for the U.S. to give aid to any country well before President Trump had this phone call, well before he started claiming that he was rooting out corruption. In terms of CrowdStrike and the connection to the DNC server and the Russian hacking that happened during the 2016 campaign, you know, at this point, that is a well-trotted conspiracy theory that we have disproved several times. This claim has gotten 4 Pinocchios at least once, and certainly has been in our database of Trump's false and misleading claims for well over a year at this point. And yet, here we are.
2019 was busy. 2020, I think, will be busier.
2020 is going to be an election year, and it's going to be nasty and brutish. It's going to be bad.
In the same way that I can barely remember what day or month or what year we're in now, I imagine I'll get to the end of 2020 and I will feel exactly the same way, but maybe slightly more confused.
If you had to describe the year in fact-checking for 2019 in one word, what would it be?
One word?
One word, you get one word.
Pinocchios!